I might do some walking later.
And next up, speaking of lighting, we'll move around to the back of the Fiero, where there are a couple of interesting items. One of my favorite exterior features this car is this giant light bar that goes across the entire rear. And of course, you can see the brake lights and tail lights and turn signals on one side, but this is a true light bar because the middle part that says Pontiac lights up. When you have the headlights on, this lights up like a tail light, illuminating the fact that you are, in fact, driving a Pontiac. Just to let everybody know. I've always liked that glow. Now, one interesting thing with the brake lights and turn signals, there's these little black lines that go across them. This was a Pontiac style feature throughout the 80s and 90s.
Even Buick had them.
I think that they thought that the black lines made the cars look sportier somehow. But of course, what it actually does is it puts little lines in the place of your brake lights and makes it a little bit less effective. But Pontiac did these on a lot of vehicles in this era.
Even Buick.
Thinking that these lines through the lights were like a cool, hip new fad. Now, next we move on to probably the car's weirdest exterior quirk, and that would be the lug nuts. Now, if you take a look at the wheels, you can see lug nuts. It looks pretty simple, but these aren't lug nuts. You put your hand to them, you can actually loosen them yourself and take them off. And when you take them off, it reveals the lug nuts underneath. It turns out these little black things are just plastic lug nut covers. Now, lug nut covers are not all that unusual. They cover up the ugly lug nuts. The weird thing here is they made the lug nut covers look like lug nuts. So the whole point of a cover is it hides the ugly lug nut on the wheel, but then they made the cover look like lug nuts. It is a bizarre decision. And the owner tells me sometimes you take the car to the mechanic to change the tires, they get out a tool and try to remove these things thinking they're the lug nuts, but they're not. Instead, they're just the lug nut covers that look just like the lug nuts underneath. Very strange. And next, we'll talk about the Fiero's general look. Now, the Fiero came out in 1984, and the original cars look a lot different from the later versions. In the middle of the Fiero's model run, they gave it a different body, and it looks more aerodynamic and sleeker. Now, the Fiero always had plastic body panels, which was a big new thing at the time. It was kind of a feat of engineering, but the style did change